Hello everyone. For this video, I'd like to carry on from the message in a previous video on the topic of company culture. Specifically, I want to give more insight into what you should expect and what you should avoid in a company you work for. Let's call this video maybe Company Culture Part 2. Now, I would ask that you bear with me because the subject matter I'll be using and the way that I will try to make my point may make some of you a little squeamish. That's okay, and I understand, and I apologize in advance. But I want to let you know that there is a point that I'm trying to make, and that I chose this scenario on purpose to make a point. So I would ask that you stick it out. In fact, if you feel comfortable doing so, you're also welcome to provide constructive and helpful feedback in the comments below. Whether or not maybe the content of this video makes sense to you. If you're one of my students in my courses, you know how to email me to provide me this feedback, and I would really appreciate it, as I always seek to make things better for you. You may also notice that this video is a little different from all the other ones that I've posted so far, and we'll discuss that a little more maybe at the end of the video after I deliver this message. The message, I guess, of this video. Alternatively, if it makes this video too long, I might maybe link that message about why this video is different in the description. But without further ado, let's get started. So here is what I want you to picture, the scenario that I want you to put yourselves in. And again, I promise you there is a point to this. Here's the scenario. Pretend you're working for a company in your chosen field of business and that your direct boss or someone even more senior is walking by you, and to your horror, you notice that there is a booger hanging off their nose. Do you tell them? You tell them about it. That's it. Now, in a moment, I will tell you what I claim should be your response, and then I will also discuss what you should do if your response is not what I claim it should be. But first, let's start with some of the possible responses, some of the possible reactions this scenario may bring to your mind. What some of your first reactions? If it were me, I'd have many things that'd be running through my mind. I've had them because I've been in this situation. For example, one reaction. Whoa, that's really embarrassing. Have you seen that? Or, whoa, that's really embarrassing for my boss. But I gotta admit, I feel embarrassed for them. I don't even know that I would be able to bring myself to acknowledge that there is a booger hanging off their nose, never mind even telling them about it. Or, if I mention it to them, what if then they get embarrassed? And I'll feel embarrassed for them too. Or, what if they get upset at me, because I'm the messenger of this possibly embarrassing news? I don't want to put myself in that position. I don't want to put myself in that situation. Would you? And you know what? I totally and completely understand if you felt any of these emotions, especially if you've been in this situation before. I do. Shame and embarrassment, for me at least, are top of mind, and they're very powerful motivators to not do something. Sometimes they're also motivators to do something. So, before I tell you my claim of what you should do, let's review the scenario. First, you're at work. Second, you are working for a company in your chosen field of business. Third, your direct boss or someone even more senior is walking by you with a booger hanging off their nose. Now, I'm going to remove these from the screen because they're getting in the way of me. Okay. Now, here's my claim. You should always, always, always tell that person. I know. This sounds very difficult. It may even go against your moral fiber, but in our business, this should always be the case. You should always, always tell them. Here's why. Sooner or later, that person will find out they have this pendant off their nose that's swinging about. Sure, they'll be embarrassed, but then, once they clean up, they will wonder why no one told them about it. And they will wonder why they were allowed to walk around all day like that. And then they will wonder why you told them nothing. So what's the deal? I know, I'm getting there, I swear. We're getting there. You see, the scenario has nothing to do with a booger. And instead, it has everything to do with a successful company culture or a toxic company culture. Companies in our business, so construction and civil engineering, all teams in our business, all projects in our business run into difficulties, and we, as members of those teams, must be comfortable to reach out to our teammates or higher up if needed for help. Successful people and successful companies are not those that make mistakes. Nope. Successful people and successful companies are those that encounter difficulties, make mistakes, and overcome these obstacles to become even more awesome. So let's bring it back to your unfortunate boss. When they realize that you did not tell them about their dangly gift, they will then ask themselves, if Francesco cannot make me aware of this harmless thing, because let's be honest, it's harmless, right? By all measures, there is no harm associated with this. Maybe a little bit of embarrassment when you think about it, but that's it, zero harm. So anyways, if Francesco cannot make me aware of this harmless thing, how can I trust him or them, whoever that might be, to reach out to me or to reach out to their colleagues when something serious happens, especially when something seriously wrong happens? In essence, how can I trust this person to deliver what they think might be bad news? You see, again, this scenario has nothing to do with a booger and everything to do with company culture. If you work for a company that makes you feel bad or guilty as a habit about telling someone about a figurative booger, then you don't want to work for that company. Successful companies should foster an environment where you must be free and feel free to bring forward bad news, even if it is your mistake. Because mistakes happen. In our business, they happen all the time. It's impossible to not make mistakes. And you are allowed to make mistakes as long as you learn from them. Everyone is allowed to make mistakes. Again, I'm not talking about your personal feeling of embarrassment. A professional gets over that. I'm talking about your company's culture. Okay? You're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to bring bad news to someone, especially if you learn from it, okay? So there you have it. Once you start in your career and you get established in your career, you will have your own booger moment. I promise you, you will. Once you do, you should take note of your reaction because that will tell you a lot about you and the company you work for. If your reaction is to not tell that someone about their figurative booger because you're embarrassed, that's okay. Get over it and tell them. If your reaction is to not tell them about their figurative booger because of a culture of shooting the messenger, it is time to move on. You don't want to work for that company. You can see more about what I had to say about shooting the messenger in a video I'm going to link at the top. I hope this makes sense, and I want to thank you for taking the time to view this video. I really appreciate it. Take care and stay well. So here's the after message video. I apologize if it's been long. You'll notice that this video is different, right? There is an intro, there is an end, there is some music, maybe some fancy transitions. I put them in there to show that I can use them, but that most often I choose not to, because the purpose of these videos is not to garner views, right? I'm not there to get views on YouTube. I'm not there to make a business out of this. I'm here to provide some information to my students, and I've chosen to also make that information available to everyone else, to make it public, because it might be helpful maybe to other students, maybe to new people entering the workforce in the North American building construction environment, okay? So I want you to know that, I can make them fancy, but I'm not here to chase the views. I'm here to provide the information for you. I know I could do both, but my time is better spent in putting these videos together to still deliver the information, not to make them fancy, because I'm still a professor and I try to pass on this information, right? So my students are my one and only priority as a professor. Making these videos are secondary, and it adds extra time doing that for every video that I produce. So just wanted to show you I can do that. I can make them somewhat fancy, but I just choose not to. Okay. Anyways, you're welcome to provide some comments, maybe in the description below here, if you think there's something that you'd like to you want to let me know about, or if you're one of my students, you know how to email me to let me know about this. Constructive feedback is always welcome. Doesn't have to be positive or negative, but constructive feedback is welcome. So anyways, I hope that helps. Take care.